Here at Bakadaji Hotel in Kololi, 35 young people are being trained to use social media for advocacy with a focus on women's voices and inclusive democratic participation. The 3 days workshop, which began today, the 24th August 2026, is organized by Gambian participants and sponsored by FEP under the EU Support to ECOWAS Peace, Security and Governance projects. The training focuses on digital safety, storytelling, and countering misinformation ahead of the electoral process.
Let me first begin by congratulating Gambian participants, FIAP, and European Union for recognizing something that is increasingly impossible to ignore. That is the future of civic participation, democratic engagement, and public discourse as being shaped on our phones.
Over the next 3 days, 35 of you young women and men will be spending time learning, sharing, and building skills to lead to safe, credible, and effective advocacy campaigns online. Let me say why this gathering really matters. The Gambia is a young country. Close to 7 in 10 of us are under the age of 35. Yet, young people, particularly young women, remain largely on the margins of decision making. At the same time, many of you are already doing extraordinary work, running WhatsApp groups on local governance, posting explainer videos on elections, using hashtags to track service delivery. That energy is actually very real, but too often it is scattered. Without the training, safety practices, or peer networks to help it grow. The training exists to change that.
For young people and young women in particular, social media can be a powerful tool. It can open doors that have been closed too much, too often, amplify voices that have been ignored too often, and eventually help challenging entrenched barriers to equal participation and representation of women. But let's be honest, digital spaces are not automatically democratic and they are not automatically safe. They can empower, but they can also exclude. They can inform, but they can also mislead or disinform. They can connect communities, but they can also fuel division, intimidation, hate, and disinformation. And too often, unfortunately, when young women speak online, they face harassment, abuse, attempts to silence them. And this is not simply a question of online behavior, it's a question of equal rights and also dignity and eventually democracy itself.
Too often, young people, and young women most of all, are still missing from the rooms where decisions are being made. This absence is not because young Gambians are not engaged. It is because engagement does not always find the right space, the right support, or the right safety to grow. In just over 3 months, in this December, this country will hold presidential elections, and the campaigns many of you build in the coming days could very well become part of the national conversation. This workshop also matters for a second reason. Disinformation is not a problem that belongs to one country or even one continent. It is a threat that democratic societies face everywhere.
The battlefield of ideas has moved. The town hall now is online. The newspaper is now on Facebook. Now many people don't buy the newspapers anymore. They go on Facebook and read the newspapers. Even the political meetings now are on WhatsApp. And the young person who once had to wait for an opportunity to speak can now reach thousands, sometimes millions of people with a single post. Now, technology was a preserve of the state 20, 25, 30 years ago. But now these are tools that even citizens in the most remote areas of this country have access to and they can use it. That is an extraordinary democratization of communication. But with this extraordinary power also comes extraordinary responsibility. That is why this training is so important.
Reporting for Askanwin Media, I am Michaela Faithright.